Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and finally Wizards posted something kind of noteworthy and worth making a video about on Daily MTG after a heck of a dry spell. And this one is huge. Like, I am not exaggerating with the video title. They have come up with some serious stuff that they're coming out with in 2020. So this is written by Gavin Verhey, and in the original read of this, I actually read most of what he wrote, but it's just so poorly written, and I had way too much to say about his weird little side comments. It was too long of a video, so I'm just gonna jump through this. If you want to read the whole article, go for it. Just FYI, it's really badly written. So Gavin is a big Commander guy. I think he's in charge of all the Commander products or something at Wizards, something like that. And Wizards formally adopted it in 2011, which is kind of recent, kind of not. But if you're not familiar, they don't manage the ban list. That's managed by a bunch of, allegedly, in my opinion, extremely crooked, self-serving, just assholes. I mean, you gotta have some balls to unban Painter Servant and say it's to promote creativity and fair play, while there's evidence of, people buying them a couple days before the announcement. I wonder who that was. So screw those jerks. But as far as Commander goes, I mean, I like it. It's fun, and I like it because it's self-policed. The community themselves are like, this is the fun format. We aren't playing for prizes or money or nothing, and if somebody comes into our play group with some tier 1 crap because they're a win-addicted net-decking douche, they're going to turn around and hit the door just as quick. So it turns out when you take a small amount of players who know what the hell they're talking about, they do a better job of managing a format than Wizards does. And that's why lately, especially in the last 2 years, a ton of people have gone from Standard to Commander for their go-to format that they play the most. Now that said, Gavin says something extremely incorrect, or at least bare minimum misleading in this article, where he says, oh yeah, we've underestimated and neglected the sheer number of people where their first experience in Magic is Commander. So we're acknowledging that that is a good and proper and high volume way that people get introduced to Magic and first play it, which it shouldn't be, it isn't, and they should continue to ignore and discourage that because there's too many mechanics, it's too complicated, it's multiplayer, you gotta ask everybody how their stuff does, it slows it down. I mean, welcome decks, Planeswalker decks, and Arena are the way to learn Magic. Speaking of that, they have themselves admitted that they have gotten more people into Magic, and by Magic they mean Standard, from Arena because Arena is Standard. So since Arena's release, they have gotten a huge surge in additional players, and I think it's fair to say that since they're on Arena, none of them are playing Commander as their sole primary format. You know, because Arena doesn't have that, and that's where they're coming from. So keep that in mind when they announce that they're getting rid of certain Standard products and, quote, replacing them with new Commander products, because that's not what they're doing. They serve two completely different purposes, and they go to two different people, and if they're going to try to say, this is what you should buy to start playing Magic, no, you shouldn't. So I wanted to get that out of the way so I don't have to interrupt the middle of the video to tell you that. Those are facts, statistics, things stated by Wizards. That is reality. Gavin's reality is a slightly different version. But then again, so is his grasp on the English language. So he says in the last, 8 years or whatever, he's learned 3 things. There's a huge appetite for Commander, players need reprints, and people are learning through Commander, which number 3 is obviously BS. But yeah, people need reprints. He says there have been cards that people need for Commander that were only printed once. And by the way, most of them are in Commander products. And yeah, they did an anthology once, but that was just a value reprint. So number 1, holy crap, look at all those Commander players. Number 2, yeah, we actually need the cards, especially as he mentions, if there's if the number of Commander players doubles, we need double the cards. That's just how that works. But even in the Master sets, when they still existed, now they discontinued those for who knows what reason, just because 2 flopped. Boo-hoo, get over it. I've got an idea, put better shit in it so it doesn't flop, and then stop sending 20,000 of them to certain assholes on eBay. Oh look, I solved it in 7 seconds. But even when those were a thing, they still wouldn't put Commander reprints in them. There was a couple, but if they were Commander exclusives, I guess they were reserving them for, this, maybe? I mean, he did say one of these products they've been working on for 6 years, so that is an actual possibility. That's the basis. What are they doing? Well, starting with Ikoria, which I believe will be Q2 2020, something like that. Maybe spring, I don't know. They're going to have Ikoria Commander. So he says they're doing 5 decks instead of 4. So let's talk about that for a second. The reason they went from 5 to 4, which I think was only 2 years ago, was because stores were getting stuck with them. And if you're not familiar, they have to order them in, I believe it's sets of 10, either that or 5. But either way, you have to order even amounts of all of them. And in their announcement saying we're going to 4 instead of 5, I believe they even mentioned word for word just about that stores were getting stuck with too many of them, the ones that people didn't want. And it was just a disaster. So they shrunk it to 4 and it worked so much better. So now they're taking that wonderful improvement and rolling it back for no reason. I mean, he literally doesn't give a reason. I'd fill in the gap saying there's 5 colors of Magic, so there should be 5 decks, but I don't know. So anyway, Ikoria Commander will be, quote, replacing, and I use that term lightly because it's inaccurate, the Planeswalker deck. So Ikoria will not have Planeswalker decks, but Core Set 2021 will. So once again, he doesn't mention this, but I believe what he meant to say between the lines, because like I said, this is really poorly written, is that if you want to introduce somebody to Standard, the Planeswalker decks are wonderful, so they don't want to get rid of them because they're Standard legal. They're one of the few, if not the only product that you can pick up and go to FNM with. A pre-made deck, done. And with a couple of modifications and tweaks and upgrades, they can be very, very competitive in a lot of cases. So I guess he meant to say those will still be on the shelves and available for those people for the core set, and then we'll just make this Ikoria Commander deck kind of like around it, because they'll only be 3 months apart. So, okay, I mean, whatever. I didn't like the Planeswalker decks in the first place. I just think that they're a good product because they're Standard legal and they're a full deck and they're a good price. Other than that, I hate having exclusive cards from them that I need for Standard constructed. And it's so fragmented. You got the gift pack, I'm not even going to start listing them. I think it's 4 or 5 places. I mean, the buy box promo, you might need that. It's like, Wizards, just calm down and let me pull the damn cards I need out of a booster, for God's sake. Come on. So, hooray for, spoiler alert, 2 of the sets coming out next year. They're getting rid of the Planeswalker decks, and in their place, which, like I said, is not really what they're doing, but okay, they're making Commander decks. So the funny thing is, not a damn part of the decks will be legal in Ikoria. In fact, 71 of the cards will be brand new. And most of the rest will be reprints, I guess, or just staples, basic lands, whatever. I don't know. I think they said there might be a couple crossover cards and a little bit of crossover mechanics because duh, but really it will be Ikoria Commander decks because the artwork will be Ikoria and the flavor text, like in the characters. That's it. So here's another problem with this. Remember the dual decks, especially the Shadows over Innistrad one, where like half the deck was legal and half wasn't? So if you bought it thinking, oh, a pre-made deck I can bring to FNM, and then you brought it to FNM, you couldn't play with it because it wasn't fully legal, which sucks because Village Bellringer would have been totally awesome. That was the one card I was super pissed was not legal because it was from original Zendikar and they put it in the dual deck. Anyway, when they got rid of dual decks, they said specifically that is why they're getting rid of them solely and exclusively because of the confusion around them. People were buying them and then trying to go to FNM with them. And you couldn't, and it was misleading and confusing. Well, now they're selling Ikoria Commander decks that are completely not Standard legal. But the product art, I guess not the set symbol, but the, all the characters, the terminology, the card names, everything will look like it's from Standard. And get this, it gets worse. They're releasing it on April 24th at the same time as Ikoria. Okay, I mean, I get it. They seem to think that nobody plays both formats, but you don't want to wallet fatigue people. You want to wait a month. Bare minimum, wait a paycheck, wait 2 weeks. So Magic players who play a lot of things will have to buy Ikoria on April 24th and the Commander decks on April 24th to continue playing both formats if they do. And I mean, hey, some people just buy the singles, but still, even that, I mean, it's still the same time. And then a lot of people just play Commander with decks that they themselves built, so they don't need these. So it's like, it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's been very heavily complained about on the internet, that people are saying, hey, Wizards, too many products are coming out too close together. I want them all, but I can't afford them all. I only have a finite amount of money. So for them to stack these 2 products that have nothing to do with each other on the same day, that's pretty dumb. They even make the wonderful statement, and you'll be able to try these decks in casual play, of course, at the Ikoria pre-release on April 17th through the 19th. So you can buy them, but not actually go into Standard and play them. Although it says Commander on it, so if you're playing Standard Constructed, that should be fairly obvious. But I just think that all these decisions were very bad. The one that I just absolutely will give them zero leeway on is going back to 5 decks. There is no way around that. You're probably thinking, well, why don't they, and also maybe they will, start printing them individually, where you can just, as a shop, say, hey, I'm out of the red-black one and the white-red one, send me 5 more of just those 2, which right now you can't do that. You have to buy them all 5 at a time, and you get 1 each. That would fix it. They could go 7, 10 decks. They could put as many as they want as long as they do that, but they won't and they can't because you'd just be calling your distributor saying, give them to me, and the distributor gets them in even numbers. So then the distributor would have to report to Wizards what they're missing, which is, by the way, also not how it works. Wizards says, here's how many we're sending you, not how many pre-orders do you have, how many do you need. It works completely backwards. Yeah, I know, it's dumb. So they'd have to go to Wizards and say, we need urgently a second wave of just the most popular 2 decks or 3 decks or whatever, and then they'd have to wait, they'd have to get there, then they'd have to send them to the people, and then they'd probably have to do a wave 3 after that. It's just, that's not how any of this works right now. None of it is set up that way. The timing is off. The distribution models are off. You can't do that. So I'm going to assume that they aren't doing that. So the problem with 5 is usually 2 to 3 decks the store would get stuck with. And then if they have the very popular ones, people get mad if you sold them above, $40, $45, whatever the former MSRP was. So if you took the popular ones and said, you can't get this anywhere on the internet below 60, we're selling it for 55, deal with it. Customers would get super pissed and disordered online saying, oh, you're scalping these, or you're, whatever. I'm sure there's some term for it. Oh, price gouging because demand suddenly skyrocketed. You're gouging these. And the shops are like, yeah, we have to offset the other ones that we have to sell for 30 flat on clearance because nobody wants them. So a lot of shops, to keep up goodwill, will feel pressured to sell all the good ones at normal price. They get wiped out in like a week, and then they get stuck with, for 6+ months, all the crappy ones that nobody wants. So when they shrunk it to 4, that was extremely diminished. It was only 1 or 2 decks that they tended to get stuck with. And that's fine because, you kind of do want some, because it came out once per year, you want some Commander decks at all on the wall if somebody just wants a Commander deck to play with. And they're like not picky. So yeah, that was a really big solution, very popular with stores, wonderful step in the right direction. And then 2 years later, they're saying, screw it, we're going back to 5. That is unforgivable. That's just completely idiotic. There's zero justification for that at all. Everything else, like, oh, let's release it on the same day. Let's say we're replacing Planeswalker. Let's confuse people with confusing art and names and branding. Whatever. I mean, it's dumb, but like that one thing going to 5, I can't get past that. That's just plain the wrong decision. So they go on to say, just to quell any doubts, the 71 new cards between the 5 decks, by the way, are not also found in the draft boosters. These are not cards from the rest of Ikoria. They were made just with these decks in mind. I don't know what he means by the last part. I think he just means the artwork represents characters from that storyline in Plane or whatever. Oh yeah, they do admit that a couple cards from Ikoria will be in it because if they're Ikoria themed, like I think he hints that at least one of the decks will be like what energy was to Kaladesh. So of course you're going to need a couple supporting energy cards. And Ikoria is going to have giant monsters. So I guess they just wanted to throw giant monsters in one of the decks. So that's fine. It adds to the confusion, but if you're excited about that new mechanic, boom, there's a deck for you. So that's kind of nice. I mean, that said, I don't need Wizards to build my decks for me. I don't think they should sell pre-made Commander decks at all. I think they should do like master sets, go 254 cards mixed and let people open them, see what they get, trade with each other or buy singles and build their own damn decks and just put some soul rings and crap in there. Put like 30 legendary creatures and there you go. Call it Commander Masters and you can build whatever you want. I just don't agree with them selling a pre-made deck. That said, a 99+1 carefully picked out of a pool of 25,000 is not the easiest thing in the world to build. I mean, standard decks aren't the easiest thing in the world to build, and those are 60 with X4 in them. But I mean, I'm all about deck building. I enjoy deck building even more than I enjoy playing the game, so to each their own, but I just personally don't like these products. So they go on to say the Zendikar Rising set will have Commander decks as well. I think the only thing different about this is that there's only 2 decks instead of 5. And this is kind of weird. I might as well just read this whole thing because it actually is kind of different here. These are meant to be awesome on-ramps to Commander. So I guess they're meant to be like weak, like I guess Brawl decks, but they're not Brawl decks. And then they say with a few new cards, 3 per deck. So 3 out of 100 per deck will be new cards. The entire rest will be reprints. So this is practically Commander Anthology, but with the deck list mixed up. So he even goes on to say something like, if you're a new player to Commander looking to get staples, or you're a veteran hunting for a few reprints, of a very Commander heavy common cards, both of these decks should catch your eye. So it's just dumping a bunch of singles on you. They're barely even intended to be playable decks. I'm sure they are, but they're low power, low synergy, and they just dumped a whole bunch of value into them. So, like, that's kind of cool. I don't disagree with this necessarily, but I just don't like it not being 15 card boosters. I mean, that is the way to give people cards. I mean, I guess when you buy one deck and you get one of each card, you know exactly what you're getting. And then people don't need 4 of, they need 1 of. So they're theoretically getting everything they could possibly need. But I just think that a wider Commander Masters would just be a better product. But I don't know, this isn't terrible. But selling a Commander deck as a Commander deck and confusing people by calling it Zendikar Rising Commander and then making them extremely low powered compared to what they're selling 6 months earlier, I don't know about that. And he goes on to say, I kid you not, this is a real thing. They come in a box that looks a little more like the Brawl deck that will release alongside Zendikar Rising. So they are still doing a Brawl deck. And this looks almost identical to it. So they really crank the confusion level up to 11. So when somebody shows up to your Brawl tournament with a Zendikar Rising Commander deck and you tell them, oh no, it's the other almost identical one with almost the same name, that'll go over well. But then again, Brawl tournament, yeah, that's a thing that everybody holds. Oh, and I love this. Okay, he says there will be Planeswalker decks on the shelves for Core Set 2021, but in many cases, people want to hop into what their friends are doing, and the casual, relaxed multiplayer nature of Commander is a pretty great place to land. Let me translate that. Actually, I gotta add the last part. Buying a Commander deck leads you right to a community, the wonderful community of Commander. So if you were to kind of flip what he's saying to the inverse and kind of read between the lines, Standard is so shit right now. It is so unplayable, unenjoyable. It is such a terrible, bad first look for people trying to play Magic. I mean, just imagine teaching somebody to play Magic tomorrow. Can you imagine that, playing Standard with them and then going to F&M after a week or two after they've played with a couple decks that you built right now? Holy hell. If they jumped onto Arena right now and they're like, I wonder if this is a fun card game, the answer is no. The pros who their whole life is playing Magic and they get huge amounts of money to go to these tournaments are like giving immense amount of backlash about how toxic these tournaments are, how Oko's ruining everything, Cavalcade's ruining everything, Field of the Dead was ruining everything. Literally everybody is running the same damn deck. The meta is crap and all the games are taking over an hour. I mean, what kind of impression does that give to people? So Kevin's saying, yeah, we want people to jump into the more relaxed, casual, multiplayer, quality community of friendly gameplay that's actually enjoyable and fun, because you will not find any fun in Standard right now. And you know, this shit's coming out in the last quarter of 2020, which means that he's pretty confident that they ain't gonna fix shit by then. And you know, we're not gonna hit another cycle rotation Standard, whatever, until after the release of this. So yeah, is Standard going to get better unless they ban about 12 cards? Well, do out-of-control wildfires tend to get better when you dump more gasoline and more fuel on them? Probably not. So we're going to add a set, add a set, add a set, then add a set without removing anything. No, I don't think that will somehow make the existing decks that people find problematic worse. That is actually mathematically impossible. The only thing you can do is not improve a deck or make it better by better, faster, more powerful cards being added. So yeah, you could unseat it when an even worse deck comes around, but I think in titling it that, I have clearly said what the problem with that is. The fact that the one that replaced it is even worse. So yeah, that's the level of confidence that Wizards has about the enjoyability of Standard. They must have taken a survey or something. Oh, why is nobody logging into Arena anymore? Let's ask. Oh, the games are going on for an hour and you just play the same bullshit over and over and over and everybody counters everything. Wow, how fun. I don't even get to play my deck and I get to waste all my time while progressing absolutely nowhere. Oh, I can't imagine why I stopped playing Arena. What do you mean? So I do find that funny that he stops just short of admitting that that's the reason. But yeah, I mean, come on, look at what he said. Like, come on. So there's a last product, and this is pretty wild. This one I like. Commander Collection Green. Oh, wait, no, this isn't it. I forgot there's one after this. This is some stupid bullshit. See if this sounds familiar to you guys. They're only sending this product to WPN locations, so members of the WPN network. If you're a higher level in the WPN system, they will send you a more and better version of this, and it's exactly 8 cards. So it's From the Vault Green Commander. Holy shit, in this entire section, they never mentioned From the Vault by name, and this is, you can get regular non-foil, 8 static non-variable cards. You get exactly 8 cards, period, and then they also have the premium all-foil version. And they don't mention anything about From the Vault. Even though this is literally From the Vault. WPN controlled distribution? Hell, they're probably going to do it by allocation instead of count. This is From the Vault. Holy shit, Wizards. Anyway, the first card will be some kind of mystery. Oh, they're all reprints, by the way, I think. A Yisan the Wandering Bard related spell. I'm too lazy to look it up. And a Kamigawa creature that's somehow related to Azusa. You could probably find these pretty easily, but I just don't give enough of a shit. So that's some stupid bullshit that they probably shouldn't have brought back, but if you're a big fan of From the Vault, hey, it's back. So finally, the product that I actually think is interesting, Commander Legends. As they put it, it's Draft Meets Commander. It's over 70 brand new legends for you to build decks with, so I assume he means legendary creatures. And it is awesome. He wanted us to know that, so he put it in its own paragraph. I kid you not, he started the sentence in the paragraph with and those 4 words are the entire paragraph. The whole article's like this. So he's amped about this. He's been working on it for 6 years. Let's see. Yeah, there's logistical trickiness in drafting Commander, but that's what you're doing. You're drafting Commanders. So he says, yeah, we cracked it. We made it. So you're going to sit down and draft. The packs will be 20 cards. You'll have 1 guaranteed foil and 2 legendary creatures in every pack, which, if you know anything about draft, that is like almost purposely trying to create a problem because you got 2 potentially really expensive cards, and then a foil. So really 3. So every single draft is potentially, when you open up a new pack, going to come down to money draft versus draft an actually good deck. And to double down on that horrible situation, they made the money spot be duplicated. It's the legendary creature, the commander of your deck. So, oh, finally, the commander I've been waiting for. Or I can draft this $40 card. So by the way, the solution to this that most stores implement, including mine, is if you open a pack and you're like, whoa, I got to keep this. Either it's every card you've ever wanted or it's just straight money, like 2 money cards or more. You can just pocket the booster, walk up to the counter, buy another one retail, and draft that instead 1 time per draft. Almost every store I've ever played at does that. If yours doesn't, recommend it. I opened a $70 booster of Conspiracy, and I sure as hell would not have passed anything in that to the right. Sorry, not going to happen. So I bought another one and pulled a $20 card from it, which happened to be on color with my deck, actually, so that did work. But anyway, yeah, a guaranteed foil, and you know how much Commander players pay for good-ass foils, like, Soul Ring or something, and then 2 potential Commander cards, like the Commander of the deck, and you've got to pick one. That is really messed up. Plus 20 to choose from is just time consuming and difficult. So it's like they wanted to create the worst draft experience they possibly could, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I have always wanted to draft Commander. The one thing that he's not saying is how many cards do you need? Like, is it 39 plus 1, 50 plus, or 49 plus 1? Just whatever the hell you want. I mean, I will say your Commander is going to be determined by the first pack, so I can see why they put 2 legendaries in the first one. But after your first pick and your second pick, theoretically between those options, you better have your Commander picked out by then, because otherwise you have no idea what color identity to draft past that. You literally can't draft anything until you know what it is. You can't just say, well, I hope the blue-black one comes around and then draft blue-black until the next pack is open. That is suicide. So this sounds like it has some problems, but multiple times in this article, he does assure us that they have it all figured out and that it works and that it's fun. So I'll try it. I think that's cool. But on top of this, they're also releasing pre-made whole Commander Legends decks. So they're like, oh, it's the same product and it's the same time. No, it's completely different products, but I guess there would be some crossover between the cards. But other than that, no, one's pre-made, one's draft, and one's in 20 card boosters and one isn't. So like, no, it's really not the same thing. But yeah, I'll probably try this. So I don't know, what do you guys think of all this? I think they made a large amount of steps in the wrong direction, a lot of mistakes, a lot of just marketing and business planning mistakes here. A lot of stuff was very misleading in this article if you read the whole thing. It's a typical Wizards article, all things considered. And then I only really give a crap about the last thing they mentioned. So, like, whatever. I mean, like I said, I build my own Commander decks. I don't need them to build them for me. I'm not going to drop that kind of money on a deck where everybody knows exactly how it works and then drop another, like, 100 or 2 modifying it. That's just super not my thing. If that's your thing, whatever, I would recommend you just don't be lazy and mostly construct your own, because then your favorite gameplay style and your personality will be shown through the deck and you'll enjoy playing with it more. I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want that, but whatever. Some people be lazy like that. I mean, there is value to just being able to pick something up off the shelf, sit down, play with it, done. You know, because like I said, picking out 99 individual cards is not fun. Well, except for me it is. I enjoy it, but whatever. So what do you guys think of all this stuff? Let me know down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next video.